all women should have an affair once in their life because it made her feel sexier and look younger. Well, I mean, if it made her feel sexier and look younger, then yes, absolutely all women should do that. Because, who cares about marriage? Who cares about children? Who cares about putting two incomes in order to get out of poverty? Who cares about two people coming together with their social network in order to improve the futures of their children? None of that matters. What matters is that this woman, okay, like she had sex and she felt sexier and younger, and therefore your wife should have sex as well. It's kind of interesting because I genuinely believe that she feels bad about what she did, and there is this Romanian fable where a hunter cuts the fox's tail, and so the fox goes to the other foxes and say that actually not having a tail is sexier and more beautiful, and tries to convince the other foxes to do the same. It's just that the other foxes laugh and mock her out of the room. And you get to see that a lot of women behave like this. Like, you will have some women that partake into socially destructive behavior and then tries to convince all the other women to partake into the same socially destructive behavior so that she, by comparison, doesn't look worse. It's very interesting self-sabotaging, isn't it? Now, let's talk a little bit about what exactly is happening here and why do these articles get posted. In order to understand this, you kind of need to get how men and women have evolved differently. And they have evolved differently in order to form this symbiosis, which is the relationship, right? Like a man and woman are completing each other in order to form a power couple. They are not there to compete with each other. And so men are responsible to provide for their family. Like, they're responsible with security, they're responsible with providing resources. That's what a man brings to the table. And in order to do that, men have to be pattern recognitioners. Like, they notice patterns in nature, right? So like in this situation, they notice that in relationships where the woman has an affair or the man has an affair, the chance of that relationship breaking is pretty high. And so the kids are in danger, the house and the income is in danger, right? So in order to prevent that from happening, based on previous patterns, you actually should not cheat on your significant other. Women, on the other hand, they provide the social dynamic. They provide the social network, the social glue. They provide orthodoxy, right? So they're the ones that take the children to church. They're the ones that advise the man not to say this or that because it's embarrassing. They're the ones that advise the man how to dress when going out in society so that they do not embarrass her. In other words, like what women try to do, and this is what they evolved at doing, is they understand social networks. They understand the social dynamic. And they're there to help the husband navigate those social dynamics. So again, like, they form the power couple. So they're the ones that usually say, like, oh, you can't say this, you can't say that, you hurt their feelings, you need to go to the neighbor, you need to apologize, blah, 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 blah. Like, they're basically like trying to fix the prestige of the family, the reputation of the family in social networks. And so women do not understand reality by pattern recognition. Or maybe they do, but they just don't care about it. Like, what they care about is orthodoxy. Like what is the common thing that's considered acceptable to say? Right? Like, they kind of negotiate the truth. It's not really like the truth as in 2 + 2 = 4. But if they know that everyone in their neighborhood finds it acceptable to say that 2 + 2 = 5, then they will say it as well so that they're not on the outside. And so I'm pretty sure they know 2 + 2 = 4, but they will say 5 anyway because that's the correct thing to say. And so let's look at what happens in history. Like, imagine a couple that's driving a car. Now, if the man and the woman both had a wheel and they both had the ability to steer the car, you would obviously end up crashing. And so one person needs to have the wheel. Now, traditionally, it was the man. Okay, so like the man has the wheel, he's driving. The woman is a passenger. Like, she's enjoying this because she is being driven. Like, she doesn't have to put the effort, she's being driven. But that doesn't mean that she doesn't do nothing, right? Like, she's checking the map, she has control of the radio, the music, she's making pleasant conversation. That is a successful journey. It's not when two people are driving, it's when one person is driving, the other person is helping, right? And the kids are on the back seat. So up until now, the man, noticing pattern recognition, would tell the woman what to believe based on the patterns that he saw. But here's the thing, with the whole liberation movement, it doesn't mean that women have become completely independent and they're creating their own industries and they're creating their own cities and they're creating their own tribes. Like, that's not what we're seeing, is it? No, in fact, what we are actually seeing is that men are still important. It's just that they've been replaced by the government. And so, like, women look up to the government in order to provide what a man traditionally did. Even though the police force is mostly male, the military is mostly male, the firefighters are mostly male, the garbage collectors are mostly male, so on and so forth, right? So, like, it's still the men doing the heavy lifting, and it's still men that do the heavy tax paying. And so, what actually happened is that women have replaced the husband with the government. And so, the truth now comes from the government. And the government controls, to some extent, the propaganda and the culture in a society, right? Like, for example, the mainstream media in this situation, right? Like, the government controls it with legislation. Like, they, for example, can pass hate speech laws, and all of a sudden, the media is not allowed to write certain articles. The government can have cultural campaigns through NGOs and through various things, preventing the mainstream media from writing certain things or incentivizing them to write others. And so, through diversity quotas, through other things, like, you have a lot of women in the mainstream media, in the academia, and all of a sudden, they now fit the role that men used to fit, which is to explain what the truth and what reality is to people. And so, men used to explain things based on pattern recognition, as we discussed, right? Like, they would notice that relationships that have the woman cheating, like, they're not successful relationships, based on previous patterns. Women, however, they negotiate the truth. And when you have a group of people negotiating truth, like, of course they're going to negotiate it in their advantage. And so, when you have, like, women getting together and discussing, it's like, well, what do we negotiate on? It's like, okay, well, it's actually good if you cheat. And they write that in a piece of paper, right? And now it's actually considered socially taboo to be against that. Like, for example, fat acceptance. Like, you would have women getting together, and even though, like, people that are morbidly obese, like, they suffer from various health issues, and they're stigmatized because no one wants to date them, so on and so forth. Well, women will negotiate that that's no longer the case, right? So, like, they will say, no, actually, fat is beautiful. Actually, shaming someone for being fat is wrong. And once they negotiate this truth, they enforce it. So it's not like most people genuinely believe that. It's that if you say the opposite, well, you can now get fired, you can now get canceled, you can have your social media account shut down. And again, like, the thing is that it works, right? Like, it generally works. You can negotiate truths in society, and it doesn't matter if they're quote-unquote real or not. What matters is, like, there are consequences if people do not abide by them. But it has disastrous effects, right? So, like, in this situation, old women should have an affair because it made them feel sexier. I mean, that's great, like, maybe it does feel a little sexier, but how are your children feeling about it? Are you even interested in raising children anymore? And if not, what happens when you're 65? What happens when everyone decides that maybe they shouldn't have kids and that the government should take care of them? And what happens when the government can't collect enough taxes because most people made the same decision? And this is, a road to disaster. This is why we're getting these types of articles, and this is why they're so toxic. You'd have never had these types of articles 20 years in the past. It doesn't mean that people wouldn't cheat, right? Of course they would. But they wouldn't be openly brazen about it. They wouldn't glorify cheating. And obviously, if you had a man writing the exact same article, like, he would be considered an incel. He would be considered like Andrew Tate. Because, again, the people that are in power right now, when it comes to the government's, I guess, like, thinking apparatus, at least the one dedicated for culture, which is the mainstream media and academia, is overly staffed by women. And women negotiate what they believe is in their advantage. And dominating and subjugating men with articles like this is on their priority. Luckily, however, there are a lot of women that are noticing that, hold on a little bit, this is bad. I shouldn't replace my husband with the government. And there is a backlash to it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.